sisters, and others of all colors. Welcome back to another motherfucking YouTube video. This time. I'm your host, Quinn, and it's been a long time since I've made a video. But check this shit out, okay? We're talking about the dimensions. Well, we were talking about the dimensions of consciousness, but we'll talk about that in another video. In this video, somebody's here. Of course, somebody's here. The point is, okay, brothers, sisters, and others of all colors, humanity is under attack, okay? Or it's been under attack for a really long time. And it's only now that the plans that have been constructed are starting to blossom into something far more sinister. Or maybe it's not only now. Maybe it has always been like this. But where am I even getting this from? What the hell am I even talking about? My facial hair is aggressive, dude. I've not been able to get rid of this shit. I shave one day, and then it's back the next. That's what you get when you're 27. But anyways, basically, all I have to say is this. It's that we are going faster as a collective, or we're going faster technologically than we can handle as a collective consciously. Notice how we have things like AI, like the internet, like, all these copyright rules and protections and laws or whatever. And how the legal system hasn't caught up with that stuff. And notice how the world is, there's still wars, there's still things, but the main thing is AI. I wanted to talk about AI because there's a piece of news that was so reflective of this for me that I had to say something. And it was the people destroying all of those books, Anthropic destroying those books, and it's why I will never use Claude AI. I was going to use it. I actually like AI, okay? I respect AI to some extent. And and I have a lot to say about AI. But I will not be using Claude. I will never use Claude because they are scumbags. They are absolute scumbags. I don't care what kind of review it could give my story, but they are scumbags for that. They have been destroying old books and shredding them, throwing them in the trash. And yeah, it's because of the legal system or whatever, but at the same time, they could also just not scan those old books. And they can probably find another way, like, I don't know, paying creators to use their content for the training of their AI models or something, which is not easy. Or they could branch their business off into a different section. They could be like, okay, our AI cannot develop any further, and they can be like, let's just stop making an AI business. They could choose to do that, but they are choosing instead to continue making their AI better by doing this thing. Alright, and that's why I can't fuck with them. But it is reflective of the issue that, and I have a whole conspiracy theory of this, and if this stuff is even 10% reflective of the truth, we'll talk about that when we get to that. But if it was even 10% reflective of the truth, then everything I'm thinking is true, or at least it's true enough to be alarming. But anyways, we'll talk about that when we get to it. What's the next thing? The next thing is that they were destroying these books, and it got me thinking: our legal system isn't equipped to deal with this. Are the people involved with this, you know, like how did we get to a point where our financial system is greedy enough to encourage this kind of behavior? For this, what are they going to do it for? For profits? Are they? You think they're really trying to advance humanity's great deeper interests? If they are, fantastic. If they're not, come on, man. So yeah, the whole Anthropic situation is like giga fucked, and it's indicative of how we are not equipped to deal with the advancements of technology in our modern age. So here's the way I see it. Okay, Mother Nature makes us. All right, animals and nature and life creates humans. All right, humans to watch over life in the ecosystem. Okay, we are made as we are like the golden child of nature. We are here to balance and look after nature in ways that nature cannot look after itself. Okay, it can't, right? Evolution can only do so much for itself, and we are the only creatures who have the ability to recognize that, and we are the only creatures with the intelligence to use that to our advantage. I was watching this video lately. It was of a guy who is going in a forest, and I forgot what he was doing in the forest exactly. But the issue was is that everybody was worried about him getting tick bites. Oh yeah, he was making birch cups, cups out of like the birch paper bark, whatever, right? And people were like, "Why aren't you getting tick bites?" You wanna know why he's not getting tick bites? Because he has a fucking army of chickens going in the forest and killing all the ticks. It's true. He's got a fucking army of chickens and they're killing all the ticks. He doesn't have to worry about the fucking ticks anymore, man. You wanna know why? Because he directed nature to solve a problem. And yeah, we do this in bad ways with invasive species and stuff, but think about all the good we could do, right? There are like, I'm sure there's some bullshit out there about, you know, ecological motherfuckers, going and doing the thing. I'm sure there's some I'm sure there's some stuff out there about guys who fully understand the who understand and respect nature working in harmony with it. I know about regenerative farming. That's a thing that exists. It's where people make ecosystems. They make ecosystems that are sustainable for farming. And that's like apparently way better than monocultural farming, but I don't know all the details. So if you know the details, feel free to enlighten everybody in the comment section. However, my larger point is that this kind of behavior is exactly what we need. This kind of movement on the earth is exactly what we need. This is what we to evolve life. Life created us to look after life. Life created us to look after the earth and all of the life on it. That's the point, right? So my personal thing I would give you is this. If you want to be a part of this, if you want to be a part of that, I would say you should try to do what I do. I try to pick up trash when I see it. Well, not when I see it. I pick up trash when I feel like it. That's the thing. Like, I've been doing this thing where I go around and I pick up, like, cigarette butts and, like, bullshit off the ground. And I just put it in a bag. Or there are times, like, I wanted to make a habit of, like, carrying around a bag or something when I go outside, and then I don't have to worry about trash. Yeah, just throw your shit away and pick up shit off the ground when you see it. Especially cigarettes, because cigarettes get thrown on the ground all the time. If you're a smoker, please, 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 for the love of God, throw your fucking cigarettes in the trash. Please throw your cigarettes in the trash, man. Look, life is hard, but at least don't throw your cigarettes on the ground. If you're already using it to relax, to unwind, to get rid of some of that excess stress, we could probably spare a little bit to at least bring the cigarette to the trash can, alright? Please stop throwing your cigarettes on the ground, man. That shit, like, I notice, if I can notice it when I'm picking up cigarettes, what do you think is happening in the ground? Or everywhere else for that matter, you know? Like, if you, like when I pick up a ton of cigarettes, I start to feel my body changing. I feel myself getting sicker when I pick up so many cigarettes. If I can feel that in my body from picking up like 10 cigarettes, it's more than 10 cigarettes. It's like 15 to 20 cigarettes. But if I can feel that in my body, then it's like, what do you think is going on in the ground? And in the sidewalks and everywhere, man, they just find themselves into cracks. So yeah, just put your fucking cigarettes out, throw them in a fucking trash can, or keep a bag on you or something. Okay, that would help. Yeah, that would help a lot if you're a smoker. But yeah, just cleaning up around the place, and I'm sure there is some bullshit going on with landfills now. It's like a horrible solution that's not perfectly optimal. If anybody knows about all of that, link an article or whatever in the comment section. That would be awesome. Yeah, enlighten everybody about like how bad landfills are and trash management is, because that's another issue that we got to work on. Obviously, there's probably going to be another issue that we have to work on. But the point of this is that we as humans are protectors of the earth. We as humans are protectors of the planet. And what AI is our protector. That's what's going to do all of the dirty work for us when we're hard at work with the planet. But this is super important. This whole thing is actually deeply connected because we as a species have to get back to our roots. We got to get back to what it is to be a real human being again. All right? We need to get back to being natural beings. Or following back in alignment with our natural bullshit, like our natural tendencies. I'm thinking, like, community. Being around other human beings more often. Fixing attachment issues by just being with other people. Letting each other be flawed. We all suck ass. We're all getting fucked from 25,000 angles. But you and me, we gotta stick together. Well, we all gotta stick together a little bit. We have to find a way to bring back community, bring back the natural human person. Maybe we can learn a thing or two from these tribes that live in a very natural way. They don't have smartphones, they don't have this or that or whatever. I'm not saying that we have to go back to not having smartphones, but I'm not saying we have to go back to not having smartphones or whatever, or anything like that. I think that we just need we just need a higher level of consciousness and a deeper connection to our roots as people and our role on the planet before we, you know, as we reintegrate, and that way we can just re-engage with all this stuff in like a balanced and like cool way, right? Imagine if you had the smartphone, but instead of just using it to mindlessly scroll all day, I mean, guilty. If imagine if we had these smartphones, but instead of just using them to mindlessly scroll all day, we enjoyed a little bit of entertainment from around the world, maybe a little bit, maybe like an hour and a half, and then we got back to like our friends and family or whatever, or we went back to some cool hobby, or we spent more time really connecting with people in the earth instead of just, you know, instead of just being on the smartphones. What if we used the smartphones for our benefit too? What if we used it for our growth, for our ability to connect, That's what we had before, right? That's what we were trying to do before. That's like the whole point of it. But I think that it failed because of that growing disconnect that we were gaining, that growing need to be stimulated. It wasn't really a need to be stimulated. It was just an addiction. And I think that's why this whole thing's like a big deal because like, all of these companies and, whatever, trying to maximize our, attention, maximize the amount of bullshit they can get from us, um, by, psychological manipulation, which is really just creating distrust with our roots as human beings. And further damaging and poisoning our psychology in order to defend ourselves, our instincts and our psychology to defend ourselves from these things. I think that all of that's kind of bullshit, isn't it? So what we really need is to try and live in harmony with ourselves before we try. Basically, yeah, that's it. We need to live in harmony with ourselves before we live in harmony with nature. Or we need to live in harmony with ourselves before we live in harmony with nature, and we need to live in harmony with nature before we live in harmony with technology. Humanity, AI, robotics, the internet, these things are humanity's children. They're designed to help us be more human, not for us to be more machine, not for us to get sucked in and, you know, lose all of our lives to, you know, 5 hours of League of Legends gameplay. Jokes aside, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's good, and I like, I'm not saying that content creators are the problem or whatever. They're the least big, issue that we have. But I am saying that damn mosquitoes. But yeah, that's what I was thinking because I realized something. We often think about eradicating the mosquitoes instead of realizing that we could probably use genetic engineering to make a more beneficial species for the planet. Think about that. Like, give that some thought. Imagine if instead of like destroying all the mosquitoes by like neutralizing them, we made them like inject nice things into us, like vaccines. Imagine mosquitoes that can inject you with vaccines instead of, malaria. You know what I'm saying? It could be possible. Imagine how much more beneficial that would be for like the world. And each mosquito could be born with a different like vaccine or something. I don't know, but we never think about that. We think about eradicating the mosquitoes from existence, and why is that? It's because we could probably use a higher level of consciousness. Probably, I don't know. We could probably use, like I feel like we need more regulated nervous systems and more healthy people. Does that make sense? That's what I'm trying to say. And better nervous systems and the connection with all there is, a greater connection with all there is. All right, more healthier nervous systems and a connection with all there is. That is what I believe. Um, and that'll take us a long way. It'll take us a long way. Um, that's it. That's all. That's all I had to say. Anyways, that's my video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.